a hack, like a shortcut for you, if they are talking loudly to you and approaching you with a big voice, for you to deliberately lower your voice, like in a really soft volume. I actually saw this work like magic with my own son when he was in preschool, very loud preschooler. And he was, loud and boisterous and whatever in the classroom. And literally, I saw his preschool teacher whisper back to him. She whispered back, she was like, I see you're very, happy about this, whatever. And magically, but now you know why about the mirror neurons, his voice just naturally came down to meet hers. He didn't go to a whisper, but his volume came down. And I just remember that so distinctly and clearly because it was such a powerful way for her to get the desired behavior she wanted without, yelling at him. So the mistake, and without even correcting him, she was just mirroring what she wanted or modeling what she wanted. And I think what happens is that a lot of times parents will yell at their child louder than the child in an effort to be heard. And now that you know a little something about mirror neurons, what is that going to do to your child? They're just going to get louder, right? So that's one thing, is like a trick to get your child quickly to bring the level down. Another thing to keep in mind is one way that I like to correct for loud volume is to identify when they are at a loud volume and by actually giving it numbers. So the way that, you have a number on the volume of your stereo, right? Or your phone or whatever. Um, you can explain to your child, when you're super loud, it's like you're at a 10, like from a 1 to 10, you're at a 10, and we need to turn the volume down. I need you to be more like a 5 or at least a 7, like wherever you want them to be. So they're learning how to modulate their voice. And if you have this conversation with them, again, never in the heat of moment, right? Because it's not a time really to teach when you're upset, but when things are calm, to say, when things get really loud, it's like you're out of 10 on a volume. In my mind, I'm like, or my hands, I'm like miming turning a knob on a volume control, right? You're at 10, and I need you to dial it down, or you can use your hand in a flat position, like lower the volume. Tell them that that is how you are thinking about it, how you want them to understand it, so that when you go in to correct them, you can just do a little hand signal, right? You don't have to repeat yourself, which gets so annoying and so irritating. I know, but you can just get their attention even by, you don't have to say a word. You can just wave your hand, and you can imagine, use your fingers to show that you're turning down the volume of the imaginary knob on the volume, or you kind of lower your hand in that flat position to like bring the volume down. But those are two ways to remind them. They're going to need a lot of reminders. So many people, even like adults, they don't realize when they're being loud, and it can just kind of take over. But again, remember, if they're with someone who's loud, they're going to be riling each other up. What I want for you as a parent and being empowered with this stuff is to be able, let's say they're getting really loud, and they're in a room, you can sort of knock on the wall or the door, the threshold of the door, make your presence known, have them look at you, and just put your hand in that position, either turning down the knob or lowering it, or saying something like, you're at a 10, let's bring it down to a 5. And that's all you have to say. And then they will be developing mindfulness around it. Does that help you? Those are two things. The one is the whispering back to them, and the other one is explaining to them how volume works, and that they have a volume control, and that they have to be using that in a as they're getting older, in a mindful way. When they're little, we say indoor voice, outdoor voice, and some kids get that and some kids don't. They just don't. So it's um, the awareness builds over time. My son didn't have much of an indoor voice, which is why his teacher was whispering at him, which I just loved. Again, I love that she whispered at him. She didn't yell at him.